Assalamu alaikum. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Today we are going to discuss a very important topic, the second medical disorder. Last time we discussed the hypertensive disorder in the pregnancy. Today we are going to discuss the very important and now very much common in the Asian, particularly in the Asian countries, that is the diabetes mellitus. What we mean by the diabetes, it is a metabolic syndrome. It is metabolic disorder, it is a syndrome. And definition of the diabetes, the collection of the metabolic disorders characterized by the hyperglycemia, glycosuria, and in some cases there may be the weight loss. Why this hyperglycemia and glycosuria, the metabolic disorder occur? This is because due to the either there is an inadequate production of the insulin from the pancreas, either this insulin will be absent totally, or it may be produced which is a very small in amount, which is not enough to cope with the metabolism, or there may be the inadequate sensitivity of the cells to the action of the insulin. So either there is a decreased sensitivity or there is an inadequate production, which will lead to a syndrome that is known as the diabetes mellitus. The broad classification. Now, this classification is also the outside the pregnancy and in the pregnancy. Only the difference is that is the gestational diabetes which occur in the pregnancy, while other the type of the diabetes may occur in the pregnancy as well as outside the pregnancy. So the classification, the type 1, due to the deficiency of insulin and tend to present in the younger age group. This is also known as the juvenile type of the diabetes. This is a genetic disorder in which there is some problem in the islets cells of the pancreas, so they are unable to produce the insulin that will lead to the hyperglycemia and all other syndromes. Type 2 diabetes mellitus, in which though there is an insulin, but there are either their insulin may be not so much active, or there are many resistant antagonists which are present. So are the cells may be no responding to the insulin. So this will lead to the hyperglycemia and other problems, other syndromes. This is usually present in the older age group. Initially, that means this is not a genetic, and this occur later in the life. And this is usually present in the older age group. That type of the diabetes is the gestational diabetes. That is for understanding of the diabetes is very important that the student in the pregnancy must know the difference between the gestational diabetes and pre-existing diabetes. Now the pre-existing diabetes could be the type 1, type 2, while the gestational diabetes are the carbohydrate intolerance of variable severity with first onset during the pregnancy. Means कार्बोहाइड्रेट इंटॉलरेंस का मतलब ये है कि ये डायबिटीज जो है यानी कार्बोहाइड्रेट इंटॉलरेंस यानी हाइपरग्लाइसीमिया, ग्लाइकोसूरिया पेशेंट को वेरिएबल सीवियरिटी, चाहे हमारी फॉर एग्जांपल कट ऑफ लेवल जो है, फॉर एग्जांपल हमारी कट ऑफ लेवल 100 मिलीग्राम है, मतलब एज ए नॉर्मल कट ऑफ लेवल जो है 100 मिलीग्राम है, अगर वो 110 मिलीग्राम भी हुई तो भी डायबिटीज डायग्नोज हुई, अगर 150 मिलीग्राम हुई तब भी हम उसको GDM कहेंगे, गेस्टेशनल डायबिटीज कहेंगे. बट द थिंग इज इम्पोर्टेंट दैट गेस्टेशनल डायबिटीज इज ऑलवेज अकर आफ्टर द 20 वीक्स ऑफ द गेस्टेशन, नॉट प्रायर टू द गेस्टेशन. ये बात याद रखने की है कि गेस्टेशनल डायबिटीज हमेशा सेकेंड ट्राइमेस्टर में होती है, क्योंकि वहां पर फिर इन द सेकेंड ट्राइमेस्टर देयर आर सर्टेन एंटागोनिस्ट व्हिच आर रिलीज्ड फ्रॉम द प्लेसेंटा that will antagonize the effect of the insulin. That's why it is a common in the second trimester of that. So the carbohydrate intolerance यानी carbohydrate intolerance of variable severity, यानी बहुत ही कम भी रेस्ड होगी या बहुत ज्यादा रेस्ड होगी, जो डायग्नोज हो फर्स्ट टाइम इन द प्रेगनेंसी. then we call it the gestational diabetes. Its prevalence up to 5% of the pregnancies are complicated, either the pre-existing or the gestational diabetes. Nowadays the gestational diabetes का incidence जो है वो बहुत ज़्यादा बढ़ रहा है. The epidemiologically, the gestational diabetes is the more common with the advanced age. It is more common in the obese person. It is more common in the Asian, in the South African, in the Black Caribbeans, in the Middle Eastern and Chinese peoples. What happened to the carbohydrate metabolism in the pregnancy? This is a normally. Normally, there are certain changes, physiological changes which occur in all the system of the body, including the carbohydrate metabolism. So what happened? That there is a hyperplasia of the pancreatic islet cells. There is an increased production of insulin, double the outside the pregnancy. This is normal. This is normal. That's why the patient initially in the first trimester, they become the hypoglycemic. Initially, increase the insulin sensitivity, followed by the insulin resistance. अब देखिए कि any first trimester में insulin sensitivity increase होती है. दो चीजें हो रही हैं. एक तो insulin बढ़ रही है, double the normal, and the sensitivity भी increase हो गई है. That will lead to the hypoglycemia. Followed by the initially insulin increase insulin sensitivity, followed by the insulin resistance. वो क्यों हो रहा है? Because certain antagonists, they are released from the placenta, and these antagonists like the human placental lactogens, the progestin, corticotropin releasing hormone, glucagons, these are released from the placenta and they antagonize the effect of the insulin. So the first onset of GDM occur in the second trimester when these antagonists are released. Progressive glucose intolerance due to insulin resistance. अब देखें इसी की वजह से अगर आप देखेंगे तो जो OGTT परफॉर्म करेंगे हम सेकेंड ट्राइमेस्टर में, that will be the altered because of the insulin resistance. There is an increased peripheral uptake of the glucose, increased glucogenesis, glycogenesis, यानी वो peripheral uptake होगा तो glucose will be converted into the glycogen, and so there will be the increased यानी deposit हो जाएगा glucose. This is a stored glycogen is a stored form of the glucose. So there is an increased glycogenesis, decreased hepatic gluconeogenesis, means जो glucose form gluconeogenesis, you all know what is gluconeogenesis, the formation of the glucose from the non-carbohydrate ingredients. So there is a decreased hepatic gluconeogenesis. Renal tubular threshold for the glucose falls, so the glycosuria is a common in the pregnancy. +1, +2 sugar आती है तो उसको हम consider नहीं करते कि this is a because of the increased renal threshold for the glucose. Overall, the fasting glucose level falls, जैसे मैंने आपको बताया, because of increased insulin, 10 to 20%, and postprandial levels are higher. This is normal physiological changes which occur during the pregnancy. Now, these are the main categories of the diabetes mellitus in the obstetric practice. Type 1 diabetes mellitus, 5% of all the diabetes outside the pregnancy, but 50% among the women of the childbearing is. Type 2, non-insulin dependent, 90%. Monogenetic diabetes, maturity onset diabetes of the young, MODY. Mitochondrial diabetes, 1%. Secondary diabetes, वो कुशिंग सिंड्रोम की वजह से हो, किसी ड्रग की वजह से हो, या कोई और प्रॉब्लम हो जिसकी वजह से डायबिटीज हो रही है, that will contribute the 2% in the pregnancy. Now, pre-existing diabetes. Now, अब जो हम डिस्कस करेंगे, दो मेन कैटेगरीज ऑफ द डायबिटीज मेलाइटस इज द प्री-एक्जिस्टिंग डायबिटीज, यानी वो औरत जो एंटर हो रही है प्रेगनेंसी में विद द डायबिटीज, शी इज नोन टू बी द डायबिटिक. ये बात बहुत अच्छी तरह से समझने की है कि देयर आर द टू मेन टाइप्स व्हिच वी डिस्कस. दैट इज द प्री-एक्जिस्टिंग डायबिटीज, यानी उस फीमेल को पता है कि मैं डायबिटिक हूँ, शी इज नोन टू बी द डायबिटिक, शी इज आइदर ऑन द इंसुलिन, either on the oral hypoglycemic, but she is known to be the diabetic. And other type of the diabetes is the GTM or the gestational diabetes, which is first recognized, which is a first diagnosed. पहली मर्तबा प्रेगनेंसी में जाके पता चला कि वो डायबिटिक है. So pre-existing diabetes, it is a pre-existing diabetes which is a very important. Actually, the management of the pre-existing diabetes and the GTM is same otherwise, but there are certain problems which occur more in the pre-existing diabetes as compared to the gestational diabetes. Now, pre-existing diabetes patient is known to be the diabetic since 10 years, 20 years, 5 years, 2 years, 3 years. She is known to be diabetic and she is on the insulin or she is on the, if she's enter in the pregnancy with this diabetes, what that pregnancy effect on the pre-existing diabetes is that there is an increased requirement for the insulin dose. If the patient is on the insulin, तो अगर वो pregnant हो गई, then there will be the increased requirement for the insulin. There may be the nephropathy, as we know that the hyperglycemia will affect on all the organ of the body. That includes the kidney, that includes the heart, that includes the vascular system, that includes every type of the body. So the main the systems involved in that lead to the kidney failure, there may be the nephropathy, there may be the autonomic neuropathy. So the nephropathy and the autonomic neuropathy, which occur for the long-standing diabetes, will be deteriorate further in the pregnancy. There may be the progress in the retinopathy. There may be the recurrent episodes of the hypoglycemia, as we say that normally there is an increase in insulin. And there may be the diabetic ketoacidosis. So what the pregnancy do with the diabetes, if the patient is enter in the pregnancy with the uncontrolled diabetes or the pre-existing diabetes, then she may suffer from the nephropathy, the autonomic neuropathy, the retinopathy, the hypoglycemia, and the diabetic ketoacidosis. इफेक्ट ऑफ, अब देखेंगे ये थे प्रेगनेंसी क्या करती है डायबिटीज के साथ. व्हाट द डायबिटीज डू विद द प्रेगनेंसी. अगर पेशेंट एंटर with a diabetes in the pregnancy, there may be the certain maternal risk and there are the certain fetal risk. What are the maternal risks? There may be the increased risk of miscarriage. There may be the increased risk of the preeclampsia. This is because of the vasculopathy. There is an increased risk of the infection, particularly the vaginal candidiasis. There may be the urinary tract infection, recurrent urinary tract infection. There may be the endometrial infection, endomyositis, particularly in the postpartum period. Or there may be the wound infection if the patient undergo the cesarean section or any type of the surgery. There is an increase. They have all the diabetic have the low threshold for the cesarean section. This is because of the failed induction. This is because of the macrosomia and the CPDs. There may be the increased perinatal mortality, excluding the congenital abnormality. यानी perinatal mortality दो बातों की वजह से हो सकती है. एक तो congenital anomaly is quite common in the diabetes, तो उसकी वजह से भी. Otherwise, other metabolic syndromes which occur in the pregnancy, they may affect the fetus later on into the neonate and will lead to the perinatal mortality. There is an increased risk of sudden unexplained intrauterine fetal death. कुछ पता ही नहीं चलता. All of sudden baby जो है ना वो, there may be the unexplained intrauterine fetal death. What are the effect on the neonate? The baby may be suffer from the hypoglycemia. There may be the hypocalcemia. There may be hypomagnesemia. There may be the respiratory distress syndrome. And the baby may have the hyperbilirubinemia. All these things occur in the neonate of the pre-existing diabetes mother when she delivered the baby. Either he is a term baby or preterm. The preterm suffer more problem as compared to the term baby, but all these things like the hypoglycemia, hypomagnesemia, hypocalcemia, respiratory distress syndrome, hyperbilirubinemia, and the polycythemia. All these things occur to the neonate, of the baby who is suffering from whose mother is suffering from the pre-existing diabetes mellitus. Now, these are the influence of the maternal hyperglycemia on the mother, fetus, neonate, and the young adult. क्या क्या होता है starting from the how this miscarriage occur. This is start from the right from the first trimester. अगर first trimester में uncontrolled diabetic patient ने conceive किया, for example, that will at the time of the implantation there may be the hyperglycemia will inhibit the ectoderm differentiation, increase oxidative stresses which affect the expression of the critical genes essential for the embryogenesis. That will lead to the congenital anomalies, or there may be ultimately that will lead to the miscarriage. Whenever there is a organogenesis, this at the time of the organogenesis activate the diacyl glycerol protein kinase C cascade, and that will lead to the congenital defect, particularly the neural tube defect. So all these will lead to the increased incidence of the miscarriages, and the miscarriage could occur because of this defective implantation, embryogenesis, organogenesis, or it may be occur isolated because of the premature programmed cell death, apoptosis, cell death of the key progenitor of the cells of the blastocyst. यानी blastocyst की apoptosis होगी, इस वजह से there may be the increased chance of the miscarriage. In the second trimester, this will lead to the stimulate the fetal beta cells, so that there may be the fetal hyperinsulinemia. अब देखिए hyperfetal is hyperinsulinemia. Insulin is one of the growth factor that stimulate the fetal will lead to the growth acceleration, particularly in the second trimester of the pregnancy. In third trimester, again because of the hyperinsulinemia, the growth will be increased. There may be the accelerated fetal growth. These insulin causes the stimulation of the adipose tissue and causes the deposition of this fat adipose tissues on the intra-abdominal cavity, and particularly on the back, at the neck region, and on the back. So that's why the bisacromial diameter जो होता है ना fetus का, वो बहुत ज़्यादा बड़ा होता है. That will lead to the shoulder dystocia. Lung maturation, hyperinsulinemia, they delay the lung maturation by inhibiting the surfactant proteins. Surfactant protein जो है glycerol, जो है phosphatidyl glycerol, and these are the present in the type 2 pneumocytes, and they are in the cells. While whenever there is a lung maturity, they come from the pneumocytes and line the whole of the alveoli and make the lung mature. But this hyperinsulinemia inhibit these surfactant proteins, so there is an inadequate lung maturity. Stillbirth, it is associated with a defect in the placental maturation that increase the risk of the fetal hypoxia. There is a fetal hypoxia, and that fetal hypoxia will lead to the fetal distress and ultimately the fetal death. So these are the impact of the pre-existing diabetes in the trimester wise. Later on, once the baby which is delivered by this mother, as I told you that in the neonatal period, there's immediately hypoglycemia, hypomagnesemia, hypocalcemia, and all the RDS and all these things. Later on, these babies which are in adolescence, they may suffer from the obesity, and in the adulthood, they may be suffer from the metabolic syndrome, and earlier, that is the diabetes mellitus. Later, they may develop the type 2 diabetes mellitus, that is the independent of any genetic susceptibility. Now, the complication of the pregnancy in the pre-existing diabetes. क्या हो सकता है mother को? There is an increased insulin requirement. There is a hypoglycemia. She is more prone to infection. There may be the ketoacidosis. There is a deterioration in the retinopathy. There is an increased proteinuria. Preeclampsia is a more common miscarriages, polyhydramnios. because of the large size of the baby, as we discussed, that there is increased fat deposition around the abdomen and around the shoulders. So there may be the shoulder dystocia. There may be increased rate of the cesarean section, as I told you, because of the fat induction, or this is because of the CPT cephalopelvic disproportion due to large size baby. Regarding the fetus, fetus may be suffer from the congenital abnormalities. There is a 3 to 4-fold increase incidence of the congenital abnormalities in the fetus, and that congenital, particularly the neural tube defect and the cardiac abnormalities. There is a one abnormality which is a unique to this diabetes mellitus, that is known as the caudal regression syndrome, which is quite common in the diabetic mother. There is increased neonatal and perinatal mortality. There may be the macrosomia. So macrosomia will lead to the difficult delivery, the instrumental delivery, the increased incidence of the cesarean section, and the birth trauma. Later, there may be in the late trimester, there may be the unexplained stillbirth because of the hypoxia, anoxia, and the neonatal death, and the intrauterine death. Neonatal hypoglycemia, polycythemia, jaundice, as we discussed earlier. Now, the management, what is the management after knowing all these things? The management is our aim क्या होना चाहिए diabetes में, कि maternal achieve the maternal near normoglycemic level to prevent all the adverse effect on the baby as well as on the mother. We prevent the adverse perinatal outcome. हमारा aim क्या होना चाहिए कि healthy mother, healthy baby होना चाहिए. Now, the management, actually the pregnancy in the diabetic mother should be a planned event. If the patient is known to be the diabetic, he must know that what are the impact of the pregnancy on the diabetes and what are the effect of the diabetes on the pregnancy, as we discussed earlier. So she must know, because she is a diabetic since a longer time. She must know. She should not conceive accidentally. The pregnancy in the diabetic mother should be a planned event. She should plan. If she is planning for the pregnancy, she must have the pre-pregnancy assessment by certain diabetologists, by certain obstetrician, by the dietitian. So it is a very important that the preconception assessment is important. क्या क्या चीजें हैं जो important है कि आप conception से pre-conception patient को guide करेंगे. You must guide for the glycemic control. आपको उसको बताना है कि आपकी शुगर बिल्कुल नॉर्मल होनी चाहिए, then you will be able to conceive. And वो कट ऑफ आपको बतानी है उसको कि क्या कट ऑफ होनी चाहिए. Her hemoglobin A1C should be less than 6% or it should be less than 443 millimole per liter. Now she must know. अब ये किस तरह से glycemic control? अब good glycemic control का मकसद ये है कि if the, and you have to, being an obstetrician, being a diabetologist, or the physician, you must advise the patient how she control her blood sugar. If she is on the oral hypoglycemic agent, so the oral hypoglycemic, apart from the metformin, all other oral hypoglycemic agents are contraindicated in the pregnancy because they are having the teratogenic effect. So ask the patient to switch herself from the oral hypoglycemic agent to the insulin. And you must advise the patient, you must start the patient how to inject the insulin and at what dose, how to do the blood sugar, how many times she should have the blood sugar in a day and night in 24 hours period, and what should be the cutoff. Then once her hemoglobin A1C or her fasting and random sugar becomes in a normal level, then she should conceive. So if the patient is on the oral hypoglycemic agent, she should be switched on the insulin. If she is on the metformin and the diet, she can continue the metformin, she can control her diet. And you have to advise the patient, you have to learn the patient how to use the insulin, how to do the blood sugar level, and then how to cope with the hypoglycemia. That means The patient must know the hypoglycemia, symptoms of the hypoglycemia and its management. That means the use of the glucagon. She must know the use of the glucagon. Ask the patient to have the diet, exercise. Diet का क्या मकसद है, उसको बताना है कि कितना कार्बोहाइड्रेट लेना है, कितनी प्रोटीन्स लेनी है, कितनी the diet. You always ask the patient that she should be, no refined sugar should be taken. She should take the adequate amount of the carbohydrate. Means diet contain at least 50% diet contain the carbohydrate, 30% fat, 20%, 30% protein, 20% fat. She should have the exercise, that means the brisk walk in the morning and evening for half an hour. That will lead to the end. If the patient is obese, she must lose her weight. If, for example, her body mass index is more than 35, she is advised to lose the weight and then she will conceive. All the patient should have the folic acid supplementation 3 months prior to the pregnancy. The folic acid 5 milligram. This will prevent the neural tube defect. That is a congenital anomaly which is common in the fetus. Then it's a very important that you must assess the complications, because she has the pre-existing diabetes mellitus. So you must know the nephropathy, see the creatinine level and the GFR, assess the renal function, retinopathy, though the retinopathy and treatment of the retinopathy by the laser therapy. Though the laser therapy is not contraindicated in the pregnancy, vasculopathy, hypertension, and the control of the blood pressure. There are certain drugs which are the most effective in the blood pressure, like ACE inhibitor, but these are the contraindicated in the pregnancy because this causes the congenital anomaly, renal defects in the fetus. That's why these should not be given. Review of the medication is that if the patient is on the oral hypoglycemic, they should be stop the oral hypoglycemic. If she's on the statin, she's on the ACE inhibitor, switch the patient on the another drug which are safer in the pregnancy. And no doubt that if she's a smoker, the cessation of the smoking is a very important. So all these things which should be done prior to the pregnancy, pre-pregnancy assessment. And again, this is by the obstetrician, diabetologist, and the physician. Now, once the patient is, once her health is optimized, all the patient should be optimize her health, and then she should be conceived. Now, the management of the diabetes in the pregnancy is a teamwork, and that team comprises the most important component, or we call the member of the team is a patient herself or her attendant, either he is her husband or her mother or sister who is taking care of her. So that is the important. Then the diabetologist, the physician, no doubt the diabetic special nurse, and the neonatologist and anesthetist. This is the team comprises which manage the patient with the diabetes in the pregnancy. What you do once the patient is conceived, after the pre-pregnancy assessment, when her health is optimized, the patient should be asked to conceive. Once she conceived, she immediately noticed to the obstetricians, immediately as soon as she misses her period. So if you are the general practitioner and patient come to you, you must refer to multidisciplinary diabetic obstetric clinics, antenatal clinics. These are the dedicated clinics which are available, which comprises the diabetologists, the obstetricians, the physicians, and all the members as we discussed. Immediately, as soon as patient come to you, you confirm her pregnancy. Being an obstetrician, you confirm her pregnancy, either doing the pregnancy test, or if the patient is the 6 to 8 weeks gestation come to you, if the 6 to 8 weeks gestation, you must do the ultrasound examination. That is known as the dating scan. This ultrasound will, the reason for doing the ultrasound at this moment, particularly at the 6 to 8 weeks, is for the confirming the pregnancy, confirming the viability, confirming the gestational age, confirming the number of the pregnancy. So the importance of dating scan is the confirmation of the pregnancy, number of the pregnancy, viability of the pregnancy, and the gestational age. Then if the patient already come with a pre-pregnancy assessment, then she must have the record of all these things. You must review the record of the patient, whether her blood sugar is normal, what is her the hemoglobin A1C, and what are her renal status, either she is a hypertensive or not. So you review the record. If she is not booked or she didn't have any prior pre-pregnancy assessment, then you must screen for the diabetic complication, as we discussed, that the nephropathy, vasculopathy, retinopathy, and all these things. So screening for the diabetic complication is screening for the non-diabetic comorbidities. Non-diabetic comorbidities, for example, if the patient having any bad obstetrical history, what was the reason of the bad obstetrical? What is her obstetrical history? That is very important. How many have the live issue? Did she have any history of the miscarriages in the past? And what was the age of miscarriages? What is the event followed by this miscarriages? Is there any history of the unexplained stillborn? Any history of the previous cesarean section? So this is a very important non-diabetic comorbidities. Comorbidities non-diabetic is the patient having any other problem apart from the diabetes mellitus. Then you have to assess and optimize the glycemia. You must assess on which medicine patient having the control or blood sugar level. Either it is a diet, it is an oral hypoglycemic, it is an insulin. So you have to optimize. As we discussed earlier that initially in the first trimester, there is a hypoglycemia, because in the second trimester, there is a release of the antagonist, so the insulin resistance will be increased. But in the first trimester, because of the nausea, because of the vomiting, because of the decreased intake of the diet, usually patient becomes a hypoglycemic. They usually do not need more. If they are on the insulin, either the same dose of the insulin is required, or sometime you may decrease the dose of the insulin or decrease the dose of the other hypoglycemic agent like the metformin. And so just optimization of the glycemia by assessment of the previous glucose record. Or at the same moment, you must advise the patient for the diet, for the exercise, for the use of these agents which is used to control the glycemia. Then this is very important that if the patient is well literate, then you can advise about the hypoglycemic symptoms of the hypoglycemia, or her attendant, her husband, or her caretaker, whosoever, either her mother, sister, the symptoms of the hypoglycemia. How to overcome the hypoglycemia means the use of the glucagon. She must know the use of the glucagon. She must have the glucagon. So at any time, if she becomes a hypoglycemic, she may overcome the hypoglycemia. In the second trimester, again, now the patient in the first trimester, if the patient come to you 6 to 8 weeks, it is not necessary if there is her fetal and maternal condition is reassuring, then she come into the usual antenatal checkup as a patient which is a non-diabetic. In the second trimester, again, you have to review for the glycemic control of the patient, because you have to optimize the glycemic control, because in the second trimester, now the antagonists are going to release from the placenta, like the HPL, like the cortisol, like the glucagon. So the patient may increase the dose of the insulin, or if she is going to use the metformin or other drugs, she may be increase the dose of that metformin. And for the diet, it is very important that you must advise the patient regarding the diet, that no refined sugar should be taken during the pregnancy. कोई भी मीठा उसको लेना ही नहीं है, बिल्कुल भी नहीं. And then she should take the 3 main meals and 3 snacks. And the discipline in the diabetes is very important, that she should take a regular meal at a regular time. That is, if she is going to have the habit of taking the breakfast at the 8 a.m., she should take 8 a.m. And then she should have the this snack at 11 a.m., then lunch at the 1:30, then again snacks is at 4 p.m., and then dinner at 8 p.m., and then at the 12 p.m. she must take some glass of milk. And so this will optimize her glycemic control, and then you titrate the dose of insulin or the other hypoglycemic agent according to the blood sugar level. Our aim is that throughout the 24 hours, the blood sugar level between the 4 to 7 millimole per liter. Ye cutoff hai in the diabetes according to the NICE guideline. So doing the optimization of the glycemic control means our blood sugar level should be between 4 to 7 millimole per liter. Should not be more than, should not be less than that. Now, screening for the diabetic complication, again, I discussed in the first trimester. If the patient have not seen in the first trimester, you have to screen for the diabetes, or again, you have to look for the nephropathy, you look for the preeclampsia, you look for the retinopathy. And if the patient though the retinopathy needs the laser therapy, it should be performed prior to the pregnancy, but it is not contraindicated in the pregnancy. If the patient develop the retinopathy, can repeat the digital retinal assessment at 16 weeks if initial retinal screen was abnormal. Surveillance for the obstetric complication, usme ye preeclampsia, eclampsia, you must look for the placenta previa, amount of the Leica remni, whether she has the polyhydramnios, she has the oligohydramnios, or any other obstetrical complication. Screening for the congenital abnormalities, this is very important. We must have the anomaly scan at 18 to 20 weeks. But if the patient cannot do the repeated scan, then one scan should be performed at least at the 20 to 24 weeks of the gestation, because the cardiac anomalies, which are quite common in the diabetic patient, and the cardiac development completely occur at 24 weeks of the gestation. So it's very important that you must have the ultrasound of the patient at 20 to 24, that is known as the anomaly scan, that you exclude the neural tube defect, you exclude the cardiac anomalies, you exclude the skeletal anomalies. That is quite common in the diabetic patient. Then no doubt the assessment of the fetal growth. So on the second trimester onwards, you must assess the fetal growth, whether the growth is accelerated or there is an intrauterine growth retardation, or there is a low growth rate. Again, in the second trimester, all the patient, as we discussed in the antenatal period, that the patient, normal patient should have at least 10 antenatal visits. While the patient, if she has the in the diabetes, or the patient with the medical disorders, if her health is normal, if the maternal and fetal condition is reassuring, she can also having the 10 antenatal visits, which are enough. But if there is any problem at any time during the antenatal visit, you found that the glycemic control is not good, or if there is any abnormality like the comorbidities, either you hospitalize the patient or you ask the patient to have the more frequent visits. So in the third trimester, again, you assess or review the glycemic control, and there is a progressively increased use or increased dose of the insulin. Insulin जो है वो उसका डोज इंक्रीज होता जाएगा, क्योंकि एंटागोनिस्ट जो है वो रिलीज होते जाते हैं as soon as the patient reaches to the trough. Again, you have to screen for the diabetic complication, particularly the retinal screening is important. Now, in the third trimester, it is a very important that you must assess the fetal growth. Fetal biometry, that is by the ultrasound. This biometry includes this is ultrasound assessment, and this can be done by doing the biparietal diameter, head circumference, abdominal circumference, and the femur length. The calculation of all these parameters will assess the fetal growth, amount of the Leica remni. It should be done at 28 weeks, at 32 weeks, and later on the 36 weeks of the gestation. So you assess that whether the fetus is a growing, is there any accelerated fetal growth, or the fetus is a low birth weight. Then at the 36 weeks of the gestation, you have to decide for the mode and timing of the delivery. For all the patients who are having the pre-existing diabetes, should be, and according to the NICE guideline, this should be delivered at 38, 39 weeks of the gestation. If you must allow the patient to reach up to 39 weeks of the gestation. If she do not go into the spontaneous labor, you have to induce the labor, because you do not know about the unexplained fetal death. Then you must document any change to the hypoglycemic therapy during the delivery and the postpartum, including the breastfeeding. At the same time, in the third trimester, you have to decide if the patient is on, for example, the oral hypoglycemia like metformin, she may need the insulin in the third trimester. She may need insulin during the delivery. And again, in the postpartum period, there may be the decreased requirement of this insulin and other hypoglycemic agent, particularly because the delivery of the placenta will reduce the antagonist, and there will be the decrease the need for the insulin, and moreover the patient will start the breastfeeding as well. Now, at the same moment, you have to discuss the protocol for the insulin during the labor and the delivery. That is, the protocol is that if the patient is on the insulin therapy, for example, she must take her usual dose of the insulin in the night. And if the patient is, you are going to induce the labor. If you are going to induce the labor and allow the patient to deliver by the vaginal route, she should be in the morning breakfast, normal morning breakfast. Later on, she should take the snacks, because in the labor, the food is remain for a longer time in the stomach, so there may be the chances of the vomiting, and that's why we advise the patient to have the lighter diet in the during the period of the labor. She should take the normal dose of insulin at the night and half the dose of insulin in the morning. And then you set a drip which contain the dextrose water and insulin. And then you titrate the dose of insulin according to the level of the blood sugar. You must have the blood sugar level 1 early throughout the labor, and your aim is that the blood sugar should be between 4 to 7 millimole. If the blood sugar is less than 4 millimole, then you start the dextrose water. If the blood sugar is more than 7 millimole, you increase the insulin dose. So this is a protocol for insulin during the labor and delivery. Soon after the delivery, as soon as the patient is delivered, the dose of insulin will be half. It will be the 50% reduction in the requirement of the dose of the insulin. Further, later in the postpartum period, as soon as the patient start to the breastfeeding, 25% more is reduction. And you have to discuss. Either you switch the patient on the metformin as an insulin, and the metformin is a little, insulin is not released in the breast milk, while there is a little amount of the metformin is released from the breast milk that is not an effect on the baby. So the patient can be switched on the reduced dose of either reduced dose of insulin or on the metformin. And at the same moment, you must discuss for the contraception. Ask the couple to use the contraception which is effective, contraception. So she may grow. It's not a longer contraception which is required. You cannot ask the patient have the contraception for the 5 years or the 10 years, because pre-existing diabetes is a progressive disorder. Progressively, there is an increased damage to the organs. So if the patient wants to complete her family, it's a completed earlier. So 2 years contraception is enough. Ask the couple to practice the effective contraception for at least 2 years. And meanwhile, the patient must optimize her health. She grown up her baby, she breastfeed her baby, and she optimize her health. Now, assessment of the optimization of the glycemia. is by the diet, exercise, oral hypoglycemic, and the insulin. We have discussed that the patients, according to the NICE guideline, that her glucose level between the 4 to 7, either by the exercise, either by the diet, either by the oral hypoglycemic, or by the insulin. What should be the time and mode of the delivery? As we discussed that because of the risk of unexplained stillbirth, women with the diabetes having the fourfold higher risk of the unexplained stillbirth as compared to the non-diabetic. So she should be delivered at 38, 39 weeks of the gestation. You assess the Bush-up score of the patient. If there is a no contraindication for the vaginal delivery, you assess the Bush-up score. If the Bush-up score is a favorable, then patient should be induced by the prostaglandin at the morning. And aim that patient should be delivered within the 12 hours. Because our primary aim is the patient should have the vaginal delivery, provided if there is a no contraindication for the vaginal delivery, like if the patient having the breech presentation, or she has the bad obstetrical history, or she along with the placenta along with the diabetes, she has the placenta previa, or she has a previous cesarean section, or she have the cephalopelvic disproportion. All these patients should not be allowed to have the vaginal delivery. The cesarean section should only be done if the induction is failed. They have all these patients, all the diabetic patients have the low threshold for the cesarean section. So the cesarean section should be done if the induction is a failed, or if there is an associated obstetrical indication for the cesarean section. Thank you very much. ताजू ये लेक्चर आए थे मुखाफा जी मैडम अस्सलाम वालेकुम वालेकुम खुश हो ठीक ठाक पीडियाट्रिक्स जो आ रहे हैं सारे नंबर इसको जो सामान Is there any question? Do you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Hello.
You must unmute yourself.
Share PPT.
Then I will able to listen your sound.
Ma'am, kindly share slides.
Is there any question?
Ma'am, I have a question, ma'am.
Any question?
Hello, ma'am.
Okay.
Hello. Ma'am.